There is a certain kind of person that the world never made easy. From the beginning, nothing came naturally to him. Not confidence, not opportunity, not even the basic feeling that things would ever get better. Every morning started with resistance. Every goal sat behind a wall that others seemed to walk through without effort, while he had to break it down, brick by brick, with bleeding hands and a quiet mind. He was not born into advantage. He was not handed momentum. He did not have the kind of life where things simply fell into place. He had the other kind. The kind where every single step costs something. And for a long time, he thought that was the problem. He thought the difficulty meant something was wrong. He thought the struggle meant he wasn't meant for it. That maybe the constant friction of his life was a sign that he should stop, that he should settle, that he should accept the version of himself that the world seemed to have already decided for him. But he didn't stop. Not because he was fearless, not because he had it figured out. He didn't stop simply because somewhere deep inside him, beneath all the doubt and exhaustion, there was something that refused to accept that this was all there was. And that refusal changed everything. You need to understand something about struggle, real struggle. Not the kind that lasts a week and becomes a story you tell. The kind that lasts for years. The kind that becomes the texture of your daily life. The kind where you do the work and nothing visible changes. Where you make the sacrifice and no one notices. Where you stay disciplined while everything around you suggests that it doesn't matter. That kind of struggle does something to a person. It does not break everyone, but it does reveal everyone. The people who walk through that kind of sustained difficulty and come out the other side still moving, they are not the same. They are not louder. They are not more arrogant. They are not faster to celebrate themselves. They become quieter, more internal, more patient, more precise. They become dangerous. Not dangerous in the way that draws attention. Dangerous in the way that is almost invisible until it is undeniable. The kind of dangerous that walks into a room and doesn't speak first. The kind that has already thought through what others haven't even considered yet. The kind that can absorb pressure because they have been living under pressure for so long that it no longer registers as a threat. It registers as normal. And when difficulty becomes normal to you, you stop running from it. You stop being surprised by it. You stop losing days to the emotional weight of how unfair it all feels. You simply keep going. Calmly, deliberately. Without the need for anyone to validate your direction. That is what sustained struggle creates in a person who refuses to collapse beneath it. Let me describe what was happening to him during those years that looked like nothing from the outside. While others were relying on natural ability, he was learning the slow discipline of repetition. While others were moved by inspiration, he was building the kind of internal structure that doesn't require inspiration to function. While others needed circumstances to be ideal before they could perform, he was conditioning himself to perform regardless of circumstances. He was building something that most people never build, because most people are never forced to. He was building a relationship with discomfort. Not a love for suffering, not some romanticized obsession with pain, but a genuine functional familiarity with difficulty that allowed him to operate inside of it without being controlled by it. He learned to sit with the discomfort of not being there yet, to work inside the discomfort of uncertainty, to keep his hands moving even when his mind was heavy. That is a skill, a real skill. And it is one of the rarest skills a human being can develop, because most people never develop it. Most people spend their entire lives arranging their circumstances so that they can avoid that particular discomfort. They quit before it gets too hard. They pivot before the real lesson arrives. They find a way to make the path easier, and in doing so, they accidentally prevent themselves from becoming stronger. He didn't have that option. His life didn't offer him an easier path, and the absence of that option forced him to go deeper than he ever would have chosen to go on his own. There is something that struggle teaches, that comfort simply cannot teach. Comfort teaches you to maintain. Struggle teaches you to build. Comfort teaches you to protect what you have. Struggle teaches you to function with very little. Comfort tells you that you deserve rest. Struggle teaches you to earn it, and to truly understand what earned rest feels like. The person who has always had it easy carries a quiet fragility inside them that they may never even know is there. Because it has never been tested. The structure has never been shaken. And so they live believing they are solid, right up until the moment something genuinely hard arrives. And then they discover that the ease of their life was not evidence of their strength. It was simply evidence that their strength had never been required. He knew exactly where his strength stood, because it had been tested repeatedly, over and over again, in ways he did not choose and could not avoid. He knew what he could carry. He knew how far he could go. He knew what breaking felt like, and more importantly, he knew what it felt like to almost break and then continue anyway. That knowledge is irreplaceable. No book gives you that. No motivational speech gives you that. No shortcut delivers you to that place. The only path to that kind of self-knowledge is through the actual experience of difficulty sustained over time. He lived that experience, and it gave him something invisible but permanent. Now let's talk about what was happening on the inside while the outside still looked the same. Patience was being carved into him. The kind of patience that is not passive, not resigned, not the patience of a person who has given up and decided to wait, but the active, disciplined patience of a person who understands that meaningful things take time and who refuses to confuse slow progress with no progress. He stopped needing things to happen fast. He stopped needing things to be easy. He stopped needing visible proof at every stage of the process. He learned to trust the process itself, not because someone told him to, but because he had seen enough of his own life to understand that the results always came, eventually to the person who kept working when the results were nowhere in sight. That is a profound shift, and most people never make it. Most people need validation along the way. They need feedback. They need others to see what they're doing and confirm that it's worth doing. Without that external mirror, they begin to doubt. They begin to slow down. They begin to question whether the effort is real, whether the direction is right, whether they are foolish for continuing. He had learned to work without the mirror. He had learned to trust his own assessment, to look inward for confirmation rather than outward for approval. And in doing that, he became free in a way that very few people ever become free. He was no longer dependent on the world's response to determine his level of effort. He simply worked, day after day, quietly, without performance, without announcement, without the need for an audience. That kind of independence is not given, it is constructed. And it is constructed only through sustained effort in the absence of reward. There is something worth saying about what happened to his relationship with time. Because when you have been struggling for long enough, you stop thinking about time the way other people do. Other people think about time in terms of urgency, in terms of comparison. They see someone younger who has accomplished more, and they feel behind. They see someone in their peer group moving faster, and they feel slow. They measure their own progress against external timelines that were never designed for them, and they feel like failures simply for living their own particular pace. He stopped doing that. Not because he became careless about progress, but because the struggle had taught him something deeper about the nature of growth. He had lived through long enough stretches of invisible progress to understand that growth is not linear. That the years where nothing seems to change are often the years where everything is being restructured underneath the surface. That the season of silence before the breakthrough is not wasted time. It is necessary time. He stopped competing with other people's timelines. He started running his own race on his own clock. toward his own standard. And that decision removed a particular kind of psychological poison that ruins more people than failure ever does. The poison of constant comparison. The slow erosion of self-worth that comes from measuring your value against someone else's highlight reel. He was free from that. And that freedom allowed him to go deeper, to focus harder, to commit more fully, because his commitment was no longer conditional on how he appeared to others. It was driven entirely by who he was choosing to become. Let's talk about discipline, because this is where the real story lives. Discipline is not what most people think it is. Most people think discipline is the thing you feel when you are motivated. The clean, energized force that pushes you to act when everything feels aligned. But that is not discipline. That is motivation. And motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, circumstances, and the unpredictable weather of human emotion. Discipline is different. Discipline is what you do when motivation is gone, when the mood is wrong, when the circumstances are difficult, when you are tired, uncertain, frustrated, and there is no immediate reward waiting on the other side of the effort. Discipline is the choice to act in alignment with your standard, regardless of how you feel in that moment. And the only way to build real discipline is to be placed in situations that require it, repeatedly, over a sustained period of time. He had been placed in those situations his entire life. Every time comfort was not available, he had to rely on discipline. Every time the easy path was closed, he had to build the harder one. Every time motivation faded, discipline was all he had left. And so discipline became his most reliable possession. Not his talent, not his circumstances, not his network or his resources. His discipline. He was not lucky. He was not gifted with circumstances that made success easy. He was given something harder, and in many ways, something better. He was given the raw material of struggle, and he used it. He did not wait for the struggle to end before he began building. He built inside of the struggle. He built with the struggle. He used every hard day, every setback, every season of invisible effort as material. And what he built with that material could not have been built any other way. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not cursed by the difficulty of your particular life. You are in the forge. And what is being made of you, if you do not walk away from the heat, is something that cannot be made any other way. Stay in it. Keep building. Quietly, consistently, with discipline and patience, and the unshakable understanding that the struggle is not happening to you. It is happening for you. If this message reached something real inside you, leave one word in the comments. Forged in struggle.